Hello, and welcome to Making Waves, where we interview spectacular individuals doing amazing things in a difficult world. I'm your host, Drew Leifheit. And on today's Making Waves, as the rose turned, stick around for our discussion with Rockford artist and musician Parry Donze as we recall decades of love, laughs, friendship, drink, art, music, and delicious food that my parents' restaurant, the Irish Rose, became known for in its decades-long run in Rockford. But first, a little background. My dad, Mike Leifheit, started his first restaurant, the Old Rock River Cafe, at State and Madison in downtown Rockford in 1982. It had always been my dad's dream to own a restaurant, and my mom, Robin, began working there shortly after it opened. Known as the Deli, the huge complex featured a bistro with a gorgeous marble bar, pool hall with 100-year-old tables, a small market and deli and dance bar in two adjacent storefronts, a bowling alley that later hosted live music, endless nights, an underage alternative club in the basement, Channels, and at the back of the building, a cozy bar known as the Irish Rose. However, the sale of that building at State and Madison meant the end of the so-called Bar Mall. That's when my parents moved the business to its present location at 519 East State Street in 1990. However, after 40 years of doing business in downtown, my dad's gastropub dreams came to an end earlier this year when his health failed him. Having said all that, I'd like to welcome a member of the Irish Rose Inner Circle, Mr. Parry Donze. Parry Donze, smile. You're on Making Waves.
How you doing?
Hey, buddy.
Good.
Great to see you. Great to see you.
Yeah. Likewise.
Welcome to everybody. We are going to monitor the chats on Facebook and in various places. So, feel free to chime in with your recollections of a great institution in downtown Rockford. And also I can give you a link so that you could, share your memories live right here on the show with me and Uncle Pear. Uncle Pear, first of all, hey, could you tell me a little bit about yourself?
About myself.
Yes.
Sure. Born in Rockford, did some traveling, went to school in Milwaukee, Dayton, Ohio, art school. Lived in Madison, Wisconsin for a while. Milwaukee again. Colorado. Came back to Rockford. Lived in Madison. Came back to Rockford. Started our screen printing business, Saturn Studio, which silk screen business. And we printed T-shirts, signs, hand painted signs. They don't do that anymore.
Right.
We had a pretty successful run for a while because just before computers took over, and people had clip art. But I was Mr. Clip Art before that. And so I did all the drawing. We had lots of business. Suddenly everything changed. Everybody wanted to do the same thing we were doing. So
right.
It was our business started to dwindle a little bit. But we had a great building, and there was lots of stuff going on in that building. We got all bands practice there.
Right.
The Blues Police, Beat Merchants, Dan Bo and Betsy. Lots of bands. And Stuart Davis played there. A couple of concerts. There's on the floor.
Right.
We had just quite a action-packed place there. And of course, Jimmy Celine helped me build the loft upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful place. I really miss that. I miss a lot of things about Rockford.
Sure.
Yeah. So that kind of wraps it up.
Kind of in connection with that, Parry, maybe could you talk a little bit about, now in retrospect, of course, I remember your Saturn Studio as this incredible place. people were astounded, right? So they couldn't believe that it was in Rockford, where we're kind of a blue collar town. Some people call us Screw City, or what else? Nut and Bolt Town. I don't know.
Stuff like that.
What if you think about like the 80s? You know, what are kind of what was the scene like at that time?
What's the scene like about that time?
In a Midwestern manufacturing town.
You know what? I mean, I knew I was aware of how the whole scene was like. I mean, what was going on. But I think what I wanted to do is do something different. Yeah, it was something that was in my mind that I wanted to create there.
Mm-hmm.
It's like your dad said. He said, keep reinventing yourself. And he gave me that advice.
Mm-hmm.
And so I decided to build this law. And it's just kind of almost like in a fantasy, like pretend like I'm living in New York or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still in Rockford, and I'm living above my business. It was like the best of a million worlds right there. And I was in walking distance of the Irish Rose. Our band played at Big City, which is next door. So if I want to get pizza, I'd go down to the Capri. Spoiled rock there. So, but as far as the 80s go, I just thought that I would just do my own interpretation of the 80s when I was there.
Right.
So
right. Right. I mean, I'm just thinking like, if you think about, I don't know, I remember my parents and myself, people are always kind of bashing on Rockford. My parents used to bemoan, if we were only in Madison, or if we were only in Chicago, or if we were only in Milwaukee, blah, blah, blah. Maybe. That's what I'm wondering is right. But at the same time, isn't it amazing that somehow there were these amazing things that were going on, I think, as they are now. But it was kind of maybe a little bit underground, don't you think?
Much more than it is now.
Right.
I do believe that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Okay. And so, maybe we should talk a little bit about Charlotte's Web. So there was this incredible music institution in a former synagogue in Rockford, which influenced my parents quite a bit, influenced me quite a bit. Could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. That was actually probably a block away from Saturn's studio also.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever played there, ranged from anybody from Robert Fripp to Parry or God, I mean, you name it. Who hasn't played there? John Ford.
Right.
Like the folk scene and rock bands.
Didn't Robert Fripp play there as well?
Yes, he did. Yeah. Robert Fripp and Trippetronics.
Right.
Yeah, he had his tape deck all set up, in tandem, and he was something else. I mean, so many people played there. Oh God! Bluegrass bands. They had a grand finale before they actually closed down. I think it's kind of like the grand finale fireworks. They spent all this money and got these spectacular bands that you would never think would come there. And there were very small crowds, surprisingly.
Right.
I can't remember some of the bluegrass fans, but they were famous people. But anyway, you know, a lot of our bands played there, and we thought that playing there was like being in church. So we made sure we put an extra little piety into whatever we were doing.
Right. How old were you at the time?
Yeah.
How old were you at the time, Parry?
Yeah, let's see. I'm gonna say probably 30s, 35. Roughly 35 to 40. Yeah.
And
million years ago.
So how many years were you able to enjoy Charlotte's Web?
That's a good question. Never thought about it, but I would say at least a good 20. Maybe. Yeah.
Right.
As a matter of fact, at one time, we actually, my brother Mike and I actually were part owners of the building because they somehow it went into default, and somebody had to buy it to keep it from the wrecking ball. And Mr. Jack Klein was in charge of spearheading that. And he got us to invest along two other investors. And we saved it from the wrecking ball. And in the meantime, we found a buyer. This couple that lived there for a while.
Right.
I'm not sure how long they did, but prolonged the final destiny.
Hey, Uncle Pear, and my apologies to everybody out there because I'm hearing that some people are having technical difficulties. But if you could hold on just a second, I'm just trying to make sure that people can watch the show. So what I'm doing now is I'm sharing a link to someone who is trying to watch, and my apologies to everybody. More embarrassment. I'm just gonna make sure that they at least get the YouTube link. So let's just try that for everybody. Anyway, so we're back. Welcome to everybody. If you're able to join just now, hopefully. This is Making Waves. My name is Drew Leifheit, and my guest today is artist and musician from grand old Rockford, Illinois, Parry Donze. He's joining us from Florida, and we're reminiscing about sort of the local arts and culture scene in Rockford. And we've just been talking about Charlotte's Web. I am winging it a little bit more today. I'm not as well prepared because, of course, this is a theme that is a little bit too close for comfort. A lot of emotions involved with, my parents. Well, their business is moving on. The good news is that, it's the buyer of the business is planning to open up the restaurant and bar as I understand, as a very similar institution, but I'm sure there will be some changes too. Anyway, Parry, getting back to the old days. So do you remember, we're talking about the early stages of the Rose, which was a place called the Old Rock River Cafe in Delhi.
By all means.
What was it like when you discovered that, or what was that about?
I was like absolutely blown away by anybody that take that monster building and do what they did with it. I just couldn't believe how cool that was.
Right.
I mean, back then.
Sure.
That was probably the 80s.
Right. It was 82 about.
82. Okay. Yeah. And we were doing our business down the street. So glad to see somebody else doing something like that extravagant, like with that much spirit. I just loved it. It was such a dang cool place. So much going on. I mean, that pool hall, the bowling, God. And then of course Mike and Robin got they made every room into another music venue. which I'm proud to say I think the Roosters actually played every room built. We finally made it to the pool hall at the final end. I remember playing Betts Bolero on Sunday afternoon in the pool hall. The sun streaming down into the building. That building was like awesome. And there were so many events that happened there, like John Berry organized the replacement concert down in the basement.
Right.
And we had like all sorts of artsy things down there, like all sculptures and lights and stuff. It was awesome. It's like you see in Chicago or New York.
Mm-hmm.
And it happened right there. So.
Right. Yeah. So, I don't know if you remember or if others out there know, but I think I explained it to people recently that, so my dad had this dream that he would, he'd be partying. He and my mom would be partying with friends. And my dad would say, idea number 99. And what that would lead to was he would say, I would like to have a restaurant and I would like to do this and I would like to cook that. And I would serve this and the guests would be like this and we would do things that way. And so he had this sort of dream that was, forming through his early years. He had cooked in a Greasy Spoon diner in McChesney Park called Gill's Diner.
I remember that place.
Yeah, it's still there. And so and then a gentleman who was a father figure in his life actually owned a restaurant where my dad worked. So that also it was a place on Windsor Lake in Loves Park called the Windsor Supper Club, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, so my dad worked there too. So he had kind of had his toes dipped in the restaurant industry as a kid. And then when he worked for Royal Crown Cola in California, his job was basically to visit all of the different plants, RC Cola plants in California. And he would wine and dine the various plant owners and sort of, get them up to speed on what corporate was doing. And so they would go to a lot of different restaurants and bars. And, of course, for us in like 1979, the restaurants and bars in California were very exotic compared to what was available here in the Midwest. If you were not in a big city in the Midwest, because mostly people, I think maybe the most exotic thing in Rockford at the time was like the Phoenix or Chen's Chinese restaurants. Those were like sort of big time exotic things. I just like to say, everybody, thanks for watching Making Waves. Unfortunately, I can hear Parry's audio perfectly. I realize we have several complaints that Parry's audio is echoey. I'm really sorry for that. I don't know what to do. I hear him perfectly. I don't know. Any ideas, Parry? What you could do?
You know what? As I told you before, it may be because I signed in as a guest also. If you could sign me out as a guest, maybe I'll just be me instead of being a guest.
Yeah, I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can. If I can do that, but I'll see what I can do here.
Yeah, but that's the only thing I can say. I shouldn't have signed in as a guest because. Yeah.
Oh, so you're saying on Facebook you signed in as a guest?
Yeah. Whatever you sent me. On Facebook. It was. Yeah.
No, you should be fine. I mean, anything that's going through on this, it always kind of works with all my other guests. I don't understand why it would be different this time.
Yeah. Well, for everybody that's listening, I'm also getting me out of it. So
you're also getting me.
I'm getting used to it.
Yeah. Well, it's just really weird because, like I said, it's clear as a bell on this end.
Okay.
Anyway, sorry for that, everybody.
Man.
Yeah. maybe we could speak in a very determined and slow manner so that there is less echo.
Okay, we'll try it.
Anyway, technology, yeah, sometimes is our friend and sometimes not. I have, we have a flurry of comments. And for example, Kristen Rittenhouse writes, and what was Uncle Nick's called when it was in the restaurant in the same strip where Saturn was? Do you remember that?
The Acropolis.
The Acropolis, exactly. I'll tell you what, my wife has a good suggestion. Parry, could you maybe come back? I will, why don't you sign out and re-click on the link, and we'll see if we can get you back in a better way. Is that okay?
Okay, so should I?
I'm going to remove you now from the show, but please return so I can put you back on.
Do I have to sign out?
Yeah, you'll just have to click on that link again, I think. All right? Okay. Okay. We have flushed Uncle Pear. Sorry about that, Parry. And we hope to get him back. Let's see. Kick from studio. All right. We're dealing with some technical difficulties, and let's hope that this is going to work out this time. I'm going to send Parry the link again, and hold on. Here we go. Let's see what happens. Okay. In the meantime, dear watchers, listeners, etc., I could take you back, just to some recollections from a guy called Steve Plume. Steve was a young man. I believe we're of similar age, so he's probably in his 50s like I am. Oh, here, Parry's coming back. Let's see if we can add him to the stream and see what happens. Hello, Parry. Now, my dears, I'm hoping that you can now hear Parry. Parry, can you give us a little of your sweet voice?
I still have two of me here. I know I'm a Gemini. I don't like to hear it that way.
Sorry about that. That is just so weird.
That's weird. But it's technology.
Right. Kerry Canoto writes that his solution was to turn the audio off and turn on closed caption. My wife says it's still echoing, unfortunately.
How do I do that?
No, not for you. That means for people out there watching.
Okay.
I'll tell you what, everybody else, I don't know if this would, and Dan White says turn off the Echoplex. I just can't believe this nightmare has returned.
I know. I don't get it, man.
It should be. See, as I see and hear Parry, it's absolutely perfect on this end, and I really have no idea what the deal could be. Why don't we just take a couple of seconds here? Let me see if I can fiddle with the Facebook aspect of things.
There you go.
And see if that changes anything. All right, hold on just a second here.
There you go.
And see if that changes anything. All right, hold on just a second here.
There you go.
And see if that changes anything. Well, that's not going to work. Hold on.
I still see two of me on the screen.
Yeah, that I know, and that just shouldn't be. I don't get it.
I don't get it either.
Yeah.
I'm new with this.
Get it.
I don't get it either.
Yeah.
So it's just like ruining it for people out there.
It is, I guess. Yeah, we're just really not able to enjoy it. This is just such a shame because
I know.
Yeah, it says my wife says, yeah, maybe she's right, but I think that also she says I should call you on the phone.
We could do that.
Yeah, we could try that.
In other words, no visual, but I can talk.
Right.
That's fine. I don't care.
Okay.
I mean,
okay. Hold on.
That makes it better.
Hold on, everybody. We're going to try that. Okay. And my
So
apologies.
should I get off of this?
You are watching Making Waves. Yeah, or I could mute your mic. That's actually a good alternative. I will. Let's stay on the visual, Parry.
Okay.
And I'm going to call you. Okay. Hold on just a second. I'll be right back.
No.
I just realized why this may not work. Because that's also on your phone. Because you're using your phone for the thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Can everybody hear Parry's voice at least now?
Hello? Hello?
Is there anybody out there?
Hopefully.
Well, at least I can hear you. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Chrissy says it's working. Kristen, I'm sorry.
Oh, son of a gun. There's only one of me now.
Okay. All right. All right. We'll go for here. And like I said, everybody, my apologies. But if for some crazy reason you do want to appear on the show yourself, I can easily add you to the screen. And so anybody, if anybody else has something that they'd like to say, just let me know. Are you still there, Per?
Yeah.
Okay. We lost the visual of you actually now, but
yeah, I understand.
It's okay. Okay. So I'll tell you what, just to kind of get our bearings, I'm going to give a recounting of something that I received from the aforementioned Steve Plume. Steve was a bartender and waiter at the Old Rock River Cafe in Delhi. He thinks in like 1987 to 1989. And poor Steve was relegated to working the Blue Room. Parry, could you tell us a little bit about the Blue Room?
The Blue Room, yeah. Yeah, boy, yeah, that was wasn't it kind of a little dance room, right? A little dance bar that
Right.
That was part of the empire.
Exactly. This is what I started saying about, I'm sorry, let me just fill in. So for those who are not familiar with the Old Rock River Cafe story, so my dad opened his restaurant and the bank saw that, oh, my dad was paying his bills and, was taking responsibility. And in the same building, there was a pool hall, there was a bowling alley, different storefronts, just this huge complex. So basically, they said to my dad, "Oh, you can just take over the whole building because we see that you have ambition and you're trying to do something with it." And anyway, so he had all these storefronts and he decided to use, there were two small storefronts on State Street here in Rockford. And he thought, oh, he'll make one of them into kind of a deli, like a sandwich deli. And then he made the other one into like a girly bar, as we'd say here in the United States. Right. So anyway, so that was called I think he was trying to make like kind of a classy place, but which was sleazy at the same time.
Well, that's what it is.
Exactly. So anyway, so poor Steve, who was a very sweet guy, very forthright. He was assigned to bartend in the Blue Room, and then he says, "I bartended the Blue Room less than 7 times because Mike granted a reprieve when I requested. Even in that brief time, twice, 2 separate nights, I had to remove dirty underwear from the bathroom." And then he writes shitty tips too for a male bartender. in a titty bar. And Steve goes on to recount, but if it weren't for the Blue Room, I wouldn't have one of my favorite stories to recall even to this day. Here's the short version. Keep in mind that Mike said that I, as the bartender, had to make sure the girls were on schedule. 15 minutes on stage, and then 30 minutes mingling with the patrons. Or was it the other way around? Anyway, so here's the best memory. The best memory was when a dancer was on stage doing her thing, high heels, lacy knickers, pasties, and the requisite piece of tape covering her nipples, because per ordinance of sorts, exposed nipples were not allowed. The 19-year-old girl, dancers just needed to be 18, I learned, was on stage, and less than 5 minutes into her set, another 18 or 19-year-old leather-clad gal pokes her head into the bar from the street to scream at and accuse the dancer of having sex with her boyfriend. Apparently, the dancer did not take kindly to the accusation and stormed off stage, high heels and pasties in tow. She beelined to the leather-clad woman, and in the end, I got to physically break up a fight between a lacy, undyed dancer and leather-clad who were rolling around, slapping, pulling hair, and cussing on the sidewalk in front of the bar. Arms, Steve writes, arms up to the armpit into the rolling mess that was two gals fighting in order to try and separate them. What a charge that was, and in the end, I was successful in getting the dancer inside. Luckily, another dancer stepped up to finish the dancing set on stage, and I was surprised that the dance was still more titillating than the fight outside. Go figure. That's a memory from Steve Plume. Thanks, Steve. Steve couldn't be here today with us, but he sends his love to everybody and to all the people that he hasn't seen of the Rose family and, of course, the old Rock River Cafe and Deli family. Anyway, so that was a place called the Blue Room. Where are we going from here, Parry? What would you like to talk about, or should we fast forward to the Irish Rose that is at?
Oh, you know what? I've got a couple of the old Irish Rose, the original Irish Rose stories. Mainly, I believe would be the night we had Al Ferroli nailed into a gigantic wooden packing crate filled with plastic peanuts, and we had him nailed in there, and we hauled him in. You know, this is back in the pie days when everybody got pied on their birthday, right? Right. You know, yeah, and that happened so many times at the old Rose. Sometimes at the new one, but mostly at the old Rose. Right. And this is back in the original old back Rose there. And we had a crowd like you would not believe hanging around waiting for this big event, and it was tremendous. I was trying to find the old photos, and I couldn't find them. But I could see it in my mind, Alfredo, after we crowbarred the planks off of the packing crate, he and he had access to free air. He jumped out of the packing crate, and there were plastic peanuts flying all over the air, and we just pied the hell out of them. Right. And there was like pie flying in every direction. And of course he loved it. He loved it, and people were just going crazy. They were smiling. I remember the photos. Right. Everybody just loved the hell out of it. It's interesting how rituals kind of emerge out of. So I mean, we had such a tight group of people that we knew at the time, right? And big time, yeah. And so one of the things that you guys did. So that was probably what, like you and Al and who else? Maybe some of the members of your band. You would smash. Was it mostly just like cream pies, or was it just a Cool Whip, or what was that? Yeah, we tried to do like the soft pies. It was actually myself and my brother Mike. We started it. We're the pie men. Right. We go out. I go, hey Gil. That was his nickname. I said, go down to Save-A-Lot and get a cream pie. And if it's frozen, just let's get it now so it has time to thaw, because we got a pie head at 5:30 tonight.
Right.
So we have a nice soft cream pie, so nobody got hurt.
Right.
And but it was a ritual, and it turned out that after a while, people got kind of mad if they didn't get pie on their birthday.
Right. So, badge of courage, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I've got a comment from Kristen Rittenhouse. She writes, before you leave the deli, your mom fired the one other wait person my very first night I worked. I was so scared. How am I going to do this? And she said, it'll be fine. You've got me. Haha. I did indeed survive. There was an incredible amount of chaos when I think about it. At that time, of course, I worked there a lot in high school. I had to clean up the whole Old Rock River Cafe and the Irish Rose and all the different spaces. I would, especially the bars. I'd have to clean the floor and restock. And it's funny how the Irish Rose kind of came full circle, because the original Irish Rose, which was in the back of the Old Rock River Cafe building, was actually more of a punk bar, if you remember.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
What do you remember anything that happened there?
Well, not really. I mean, it just seemed to, with the times that I was there, it seemed to be pretty under control. But it was just kind of a dark, and it almost exuded perhaps a little bit of a seedy atmosphere.
Right.
But back then we liked that,
Sure.
Sure. It's kind of like being hanging around with Tom Waits,
Right.
In a seedy little bar, but at the same time it had a cool vibe.
Mm-hmm. On more than one occasion, I won't say what it was, but I had to remove some things with bodily fluids from the sink in the women's bathroom. My apologies to everybody out there. But
oh my God.
These are the realities that I was faced with as the person who was cleaning. And then
the education of Drew.
Exactly. And then there was always several times someone took the pipe that was connected to the urinal in the men's bathroom, and they would, I guess, probably when we have punk bands, and they would rip the pipe off of the wall, so then water would just be gushing. So I know my dad had to repair that a few times.
Oh God.
Anyway, so yeah, it was not always pretty having to clean up. Stock beer. Of course, I always tried to put too many cases on a dolly, and sometimes I'd even, a couple of times I dumped like 5 or 6 cases of beer down the stairs and had to clean that all up.
But then those are really nice to open.
Yeah, exactly. We have a little share from Dan White, another member of the Rose family. Dan writes, my band tried to play there but couldn't get through a song. Bill said he poured us 7 pitchers of beer when we set up our equipment 3 hours before we played.
Oh my God.
These were the kind of things that happen. It's true.
Yeah, I don't doubt it.
Yeah. What about what was it like? Do you remember if okay, let's say we are talking about the original restaurant. What was it like playing there with your band?
At the original place?
Mm-hmm.
The deli, yeah. It was great. I mean, it was like it was part of our lives,
Right.
Back then it was the downtown scene was big cities next door to Saturn,
right?
Which is great because we just haul the stuff next door.
Sure.
Or the Irish Rose and the Rock River Deli, which is 5 blocks away, 6 blocks.
Right.
And It was great. I mean, it's like it just always seemed every night was a brand new experience because seems like every room you went into, you had a slightly different brand of people.
Right. Right.
You know, and it was always interesting and always rewarding. I don't remember ever a night where I was tearing my equipment down, going, I'm pissed off. You know.
Right.
And that never happened. It was always interesting.
Right.
Because interesting people just gravitated towards that place. That So, you know, I had no complaints at all, you know.
Right, right.
So.
Hey, my mom is also watching, and she's asking, what about the applause tape, Uncle Pear?
Oh, my God. Yeah, that's another thing I've got in my notes here. Oh, God dang. That was so funny. You would not believe. I recorded this applause off of Frampton Comes to Live album, and I put it on a cassette, and we brought it down to the road to the deli. We were playing in the deli part, you know, with the counter in the front, and I believe I'm not sure if that was the same night, but Robin had somebody put like a fish net on the ceiling with seashells. I think we had like a kind of a Caribbean theme or something.
Right.
You know, which was delightful to see when we were setting up. And after every song, Robin was so funny because, you know, after every song, she'd turn up this applause tape. You know, it's like this thousands of people applauding.
Right.
People are looking around going, well, I guess I should applaud too, I guess.
Right, right.
And I'd look over at Robin, and she's like this little elf, like smiling, going, you know, hunched down behind the bar, you know, smiling like little with a little mischievous smile.
Right.
And it just went on all night. It was just beautiful. Everybody's, I think it caught on after a while, but yeah, it was a great dang night.
Oh yeah, I guess there were a few of those, right?
Yeah, there were quite a few, as a matter of fact. And as a matter of fact, there's another one too where we had Save the Bag Night, which was my brother's dog. I don't know if you remember that, Drew. I do.
Well, can I just say, Perry? Can I just say that one little thing for those of people out there who are not familiar or not part of the scene? You guys had kind of a cult, right? You had all kinds of your own sort of inside jokes and.
Oh, big time! Yeah.
These were all people that kind of frequented the same places. The Irish Rose being among, you know, one of the haunts, I suppose, right?
Big time, yeah.
Right, right. Anyway, so go ahead. So you were talking about you had like a benefit, sort of, right?
Yeah. Well, my brother's wife Diane, his wife at the time. She like I don't know if she was serious or not, but she threatened to like have the bag put away.
So it was this old dog, right?
Yeah, that was Mike's dog.
Right.
You know, and that was unspeakable. You know, we couldn't like listen to that. You know, there's no way. So we formed this big benefit for the Save the Bag, and I painted this big canvas that, you know, with this portrait on it, and says, "Please, no, not yet." You know, underneath it, and then I did armbands that said STB. You know, like the STP logo, but it was STB. Right. And I passed them out, and everybody was wearing them. You know, people that I didn't even know were running around chanting, "Save the bag." You know, I don't even know if they knew what they were talking about, but it was a lot of fun.
Was it kind of an old hound dog?
Yeah, he was like a hound dog. Yeah,
yeah,
he was like a big brown dog with a white stripe down his face.
Right, right.
You know, he was part of the family. What he was.
Sure.
So you know, Joe and I said, we're not gonna go along with this, and so, you know, we played this whole night, and at the end of the night, Diane brought Bag down and brought him and everybody's cheering, just like the big star,
Right.
And he ended up in the photo booth taking photo booth pictures of
I think I remember that.
Which I don't have, but I remember I got some.
Yeah, we really thought we were hipsters when I don't know who suggested, maybe it was John Barry, that we get a photo booth in the Irish Rose back bar. That was that was really hip, wasn't it?
Oh, it's a huge hit. Oh,
yeah.
God. It's too bad I don't have visual now, because I've got a bunch of photo booth strips here of Robin and Paula P.I. and I, and Lanny, and a bunch of people.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Dan White has another share here. He writes that later with Indian Opie, the New Rose was a blast every time we played there. Thanks for that, Dan.
Indian Opie, I remember those guys.
You remember them? Yeah. I don't think I was around.
Okay.
Can I just take a second? I just want to thank everyone out there. Maybe it's you or maybe not. There's been an incredible show of love and support to help my parents get through what is a health and business crisis. One of our most wonderful employees and members of the Rose family, Yasmin Baylor, set up a GoFundMe campaign, which has actually raised about $8,000. And I just want to thank everybody so much. If you were able to contribute to that, that's a blessing. It takes some stress off of us. Things are getting really dicey because we are selling the business, but there's a huge waiting period, and we have ongoing expenses with the building, and still all kinds of messes that I am dealing with all the time. So if you haven't heard about that GoFundMe, I will have that scrolling at the bottom of the screen here, or if you want to contact me directly, I can also send you the link. If you'd like to give my mom a tip, for example, for some of those great old times when she listened to your sob story, or made you a good drink, or made you laugh, or whatever. Thanks everybody for watching to this edition of Making Waves. It's a very personal take on this show that I've been doing. It's about the Irish Rose, the bar and restaurant business, the gastro pub, owned by my mother and father, and that it's going into another phase this year. That we've got some big changes afoot in our lives. And anyway, I just thanks everyone for being here and for supporting us in what have been very strange times for us. Thank you so much. Anyway, that's my spiel on that. And so, Parry, do you remember what was it like? Do you remember hearing about when the old Rock River Cafe was going to close, and what the future would be? Do you remember that transition at all?
You know what? Actually, I remember hearing about it. I don't recall what I thought about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, of course, I always was in close contact with Mike and Robin all the time. So
Mm-hmm.
they'd always tell me, but in retrospect, I really can't recall what I thought.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew that there was going to be a new Rose. So I was confident in that respect that we still had that that treasure to hang out in. And on that note, I wanted to say years before.
Mm-hmm.
Before the Rose was there, it used to be just like a little kind of a scuzzy little bar,
Right,
kind of a thing, and then there was like a little greasy spoon in the back there.
Mm-hmm.
And I tried to one Saturday morning. I went there for breakfast. I just wanted to see what it was like. And it was it was kind of like going to low class Denny's kind of a place.
Mm-hmm.
But it was interesting because the people that were there, they were the street people that I see walking in front of Saturn all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and all over East State.
Right.
And, I kind of knew them visually, but I didn't really know them.
Mm-hmm.
But some of these people worked there and everything. I thought, oh, this is interesting. And so I got, I'm glad I did that, because I got a little view of like what the Rose was like before it was the Rose.
Right.
And so anyway, anyway, I was just glad that, so glad that to see the Rose, come back.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Honestly.
Yeah, the back area, kind of the back room, was a place called Ma's Cafe.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the front, I don't know what the name of the main space was, a bar also, but
I don't remember either.
Maybe something, out of a Tom Waits vignette. I think it was
exactly. Yeah.
It was a little bit forlorn. And
it was pretty sad.
Right.
But but I was kind of drawn to that kind of thing. It's like kind of it's kind of thing you don't know if you want to go in, but but you're really interested, because you got to know there's a million stories in there.
Right. Well, on the other side of my parents' restaurant was actually a place called Shortstop Grill. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Because that was also it was frozen in time. There was such an interesting scene in there. It was.
Where was that at, Drew?
That was just to the right of the Irish Rose on State Street.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. And that.
I do remember that.
I actually took some amazing black and white photos in there. I wish I had them now. But it was very bizarre. It just, And actually, if I could mention another friend of ours, an old friend who sadly is no longer with us, a person that you dubbed Chicago Bill. Our friend Bill Olson told a funny story about going into the Shortstop Grill. I think he was likely working at the Rose, and so for some reason he decided to go into the Shortstop Grill, and he observed some of the denizens at the Shortstop Grill, and there was a gentleman that said to a friend there, he said, touch my pants right here. And so the one guy touched the other guy's pants, and he said, "Oh, it's it's kind of like weird and soft." And he said, "Yeah, I shit my pants."
Oh my God!
And I was just
okay, the old shortstop.
Huh? Right. And I guess if you think about it, and I realize it's a disgusting story, and I apologize to anyone who's offended. But the reason I tell it is that it gives people a feel for like how much different downtown used to be, let's say 30 years ago, right?
Exactly.
So
yeah, exactly.
I would never. I actually liked the Shortstop Grill because it was kind of a piece of history, but at the same time, I think sort of places like that are the reason a lot of Rockfordians would not venture downtown. It was kind of mysterious / scary to go downtown for many people, right?
Yeah. A lot of people don't like that old Tom Waits kind of thing.
Right.
They shy away, but
right.
Some people are attracted to that.
Yeah.
Myself and yourself.
Exactly. So I just wanted to tell everybody thanks for watching Making Waves. And Mike White just gave us a comment. He says, I can't tell 90% of my stories in public. He says statutes of limitations and all. Oh, come on, Mike. Mike, if you want, I can send you a link. You can appear here on the screen, and you must be able to tell something. Come on. Anyway, no pressure. Chrissy has also chimed in. She says, I think this is in connection with the Shortstop Grill. Flip a burger, swat a roach. Flip a burger, swat a roach.
Quite so, I'm sure.
Right. Parry, I'm wondering, Parry, could you maybe tell us about someone else maybe that you met through hanging out, being a regular at the Irish Rose? Who comes to mind?
Oh God, let's see. Let me see. Well, I did meet a little girlfriend. She was a waitress there, Janice, and we got along quite well, and for some time, and we actually went to the Curacao, the island, the Dutch island, and the Caribbean, and did that and everything. And we got along quite well. But like you said, she was quite young. I was 44. She was like 22 or something. And like you said, young girls don't know what they want. I told her that. She goes, "Oh, I know what I want." But it turns out she didn't. But Mr. Words of Wisdom, you had.
Sorry.
But anyway, but I remember your dad telling me, he goes, just enjoy it while it happens, just enjoy it while it's here.
Right.
And don't worry about if it's going to last, And then he went through our relationship on kind of the same thing. And I brought
a few.
Yeah.
I think there were a few.
You what?
I say, I think there might have been a few.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I said, you know what, Mike, remember what you told me? Just do what you told me. Enjoy it while it happens. Right.
Right.
But, can I tell the story real quick?
Sure. Please do.
About the new Irish Rose. Mike was trying to get a logo for the place, and I was down there one late afternoon, and he goes, "Let me show you this. This guy wanted I don't know, $275. This is like 30 years ago or whatever.
Right.
Or more than that, probably." And he says that he showed me what he had, and it was a dang type style, right? You can get that off the computer.
Right.
And they had like this little drawing about Rose. And I said, "Mike, you don't pay that much money for a type style." I said, "Give me a napkin and a pen." And he gave it to me.
Right.
And I scribbled out, I drew that Rose, and I did that script that is over there. Right. And he just looked at it and smiled and walked away.
Wow.
And the rest is history.
Right. That's a very interesting, I don't know what the future of that sign is, but I think originally it was an old style sign that you painted over, or that you screen printed over it, or how did that work?
Yeah, we screen printed over it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Well, I don't remember what it used to be. I think they brought it to us. It was cleaned up. So.
Yeah, it's been very durable. So congratulations.
I don't remember.
Right.
Yeah, and it's still looking good, or?
Yeah, I think it still looks pretty good, considering that it's probably at least 3 decades old. No?
Oh, big time.
Right.
Probably more than that.
Right. Hey, if I could just share some reminiscences from Jennifer Carotto, who worked with my parents, a wonderful person who has remained in Rockford and has stayed in contact with my mom. She says, my dad, Mike, walked all the waitstaff down to the surf lounge one night. That's when I had to tell him I wasn't 21, but he wasn't even upset. Walked me in and bought us all beers.
All right, Mike.
Right. And she also remembers a dear friend of ours named Jack Anderson, also known as Jack Pine. Jennifer recalls, Jack Pine walked me over to Charlotte's Web one night and gave me a tour of the entire building.
Wow. Nice.
Yeah. We also have a comment from someone that I do not know, but I get the sense that she was definitely someone who spent a lot of time in the Irish Rose. She says, "I miss coming into the Irish Rose and chatting with Mike. Had my bachelorette party there." Sorry, I can't spit out bachelorette. Excellent. Thanks everybody for your comments. And also, if please let me know if someone would like to come on our little show here today, and you can appear on the video, and I can let you tell a story. We're here with Parry Donze. Okay, Parry, what about that? Could you tell us a little bit about? So there are some wonderful places in Rockford, or were 20, 30, 40 years ago. how did you decide to leave? It can be a little bit frustrating in Rockford too, right?
Yeah, it was quite frustrating. I don't know, Drew, it was, the business we were in, screen printing, which includes T-shirts and everything. By the time we're 5 or 6 years before I left, everybody and their cousin was screen printing in the garage and everything, and we were like making no money, and we're getting our business dwindling.
Right.
And also to make that pour salt on the one, it didn't seem like we were getting, after we redid our whole front of Saturn Studio, what turned out to be beautiful. Mr. Jack Pine was responsible for that beautiful design. And we had like these neon lights behind these glass block walls, black bricks, and which lit up at night and just glowed. It was just fabulous. And it didn't seem, we didn't get a whole lot of recognition from the city at all, from that. And that kind of stuff kind of gets to you. It's like, when you see, it's not like I care,
right,
that I get recognized, but when you see other people get recognized for things a lot less, it kind of gets you. So I got a little, my brother and I got a little bit like, well, what the hell,
right?
So we and I always wanted to live around palm trees anyway, so
right,
it's kind of like my excuse to get the heck out of Dodge. So
well, a change is good, and it's been an interesting time for me actually, because I'm here, and I'm at a kind of a better stage in my life, because if I could open up a little bit, it sounds ridiculous because my parents had this wonderful restaurant, but kind of part of the reason that I haven't lived in the United States was to kind of get away from the restaurant. And because backstory, and I'll try not to get too sappy, but my parents divorced when I was 13, and yet they had this business together. I won't get into the dirty details of, but sometimes it was very difficult for me to accept. And of course, as I wrote in a post yesterday on Facebook, of course I loved it, and I was able to enjoy what a fantastic place they created together. But at the same time, it was part of the reason that, I didn't want to be here in Rockford. To be quite honest.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I hear you. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, but now it's very interesting to be in Rockford. Maybe I still have some misgivings as to whether I would want to be here long term, but I definitely recognize I'm in a better space, so I'm less judgmental about the way the city rolls, what's important for people and things like that. I'm trying to climb down from my patronizing attitude, and I recognize that there's a lot of great stuff going on in Rockford, and that it's seen vast improvements from the days of the 1980s. Although kind of the one thing that I just like to say to everybody, because I find it a little bit silly that, like even in the 1980s, in the early 1980s, everybody was talking about reinventing downtown Rockford. And over 40 years later, they're saying the same thing, which is kind of silly, but that's just my God. That's all I'm going to say. I'll shut up after that,
Well, guess who started it, Joe?
Well, I know. I mean, they definitely had, made a pretty significant contribution. If we think about it. Yeah.
Yeah, they stuck their necks out, and it worked.
Right. Few people may know that, for example, right after my dad opened the Old Rock River Cafe, he wanted to have tables and chairs outside in front of the business, and the city said no, 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 no. And he wrote the newspaper, and he battled with the city until they said, okay, you can have tables and chairs out on the sidewalk. And that was the way he was. So if somebody told him no, he wouldn't let it slide,
Yeah, I remember we had lunch there a lot of times on the sidewalk.
Right.
And sometimes it was, most of the time it was beautiful, and then sometimes it was like, well, and street people come by going, hey, you got any stuff.
Right.
But that's a slice of life,
Sure,
but
sure.
It didn't stop us. We kept going.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, we have a nice comment from Craig Tom. He says, I've got 2 of his waitress photo screen prints, meaning you, 2 of your waitress photo screen prints on his wall. He says,
wow.
I didn't want the framed ones that were in that gallery across from the Rose, so I went to Saturn to buy them.
Oh, wow. Which one?
I don't know. Maybe, yeah, Craig, which ones are you talking about? Maybe you could tell us in the chat. Anyway, thanks for chiming in. And Jonathan Powers has also cropped up, who worked for my dad in various capacities. His last incarnation as the chef. Hello, Jonathan. And anyway, yeah, and also Mike White says that he was with Jennifer the night that Jack Pine took her to Charlotte's Web and showed her around.
Excellent.
Isn't that a wonderful thing that that's kind of how everybody rolled too? So it was really like a collective. I don't know whether we realized it at the time, but there was just kind of this.
I don't think we did.
No, it was a group of cool people, and so whenever you wanted to do something, I don't know, anything from put a band together, or I don't know, hold some kind of event, or it was really like a laboratory. The one thing that of course my dad in his older years, he was not able to be as inventive as he once was, but I remember in the early 90s he would invite a chef from Chicago to come to the Rose and cook Indian food, which I think was pretty cool at the time,
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Mm.
Yeah, and in that vein, I found it so easy. I think everybody knows how many bands I used to be in.
Right.
How many bands got, But it was so easy to find cool people to be in a band with that click.
Right.
I really rarely had any problem forming a new band. It's like one after another after another. And when I got down to Florida, it was totally impossible. Everybody was like these old guys that so all they want to do is talk about what they used to do.
Right.
But back up in Rockford, it's like let's do a new band, and it worked.
Mm-hmm.
As we all know.
Right. Very cool.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just want to say to everybody, thanks so much for watching Making Waves today. This is a very personal theme. We're talking about the Old Rock River Cafe, the Irish Rose, my parents, wonderful people we met at the Irish Rose. I welcome you to chime in, whether it be in the comments, or if you'd like to appear on the video, we could have a little mini video interview. Are there any takers out there? We'd love to have you here on the show. We had Parry's beautiful visage at the very beginning of the show, but we had too many echoes. So unfortunately, we've just got him via telephone, but hell, that's better than nothing.
Yeah, you betcha.
Yeah. Craig Tom writes, Sarah and Dawn, 8 to 11 screens, fluorescent inks, intentionally misaligned to show the colors, if that rings any bells.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's an Andy Warhol thing.
Right. I know exactly what you're referring to. Yeah, so these are some screen prints that you designed, right, Parry?
Yeah. Well, my brother took the black and white photos, and I scanned them and did the color separations, and it made them kind of look like a slightly Warholish. And Yeah, I still have all those things hanging up at Saturn South here. Very proud of the way they turned out.
Right.
The girls of the Rose.
Yeah. Parry, I was wondering, maybe could you recount some other denizens of the Rose and maybe the nicknames? I think you came up with most of the nicknames.
Well, yeah, it's sort of. And actually, I think you told people that when Bill passed away, you said that I made up his nickname, Chicago Bill.
Right.
But actually, it was Neil.
Oh, really?
Neil Albright, my Roche. Yeah. Because he used to hang around with the Wristers, and he was almost kind of like our roadie for a while.
Right.
And we were packing up one night someplace in Rockton or someplace, and Roche goes, "And ladies and gentlemen, Chicago Bill." He just blurts it right out.
Right.
And I looked at him and I go, "That's perfect." Yeah. So that was his name for Bill.
Right. Right. Who had I think he had like a ponytail and John Lennon glasses at the time. No.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
But we I don't know. It was kind of like the way we make up nicknames is kind of like we almost kind of like use a little bit of sarcasm, and then a little bit of love sprinkled in.
Right.
And we come up with a beauty. And if it sticks, it sticks.
Sure.
Which it did.
Sure. And I was almost thinking, kind of in connection with that, what if we did a little word association? I would just kind of throw something at you and you have to say something. So for example, I wanted to say, John the Cop.
You gonna say what now?
John the Cop.
Oh, John the Cop. Yeah. Yeah, what a guy! What a beauty of a guy!
Yeah.
Yeah, what a guy! Yeah. It's funny because this is back in the days when all of us guys used to kiss each other on the lips.
Right.
Me and Greg Sims.
And
Spider. Charlie Styles. And,
right.
And like all of us guys did.
Sure.
I might have even kissed you on the lips.
More than once. Yeah. Actually.
Okay.
Actually, one time, Bill and I kissed each other, and I think I just kind of automatically turned my head, and I didn't want to, but I slipped him the tongue. I think you were there, and I was like, oh God, what did I? I was a little bit embarrassed, like, what have I done?
Well, you were in the group.
I guess, yeah.
You were in the group, David.
Right.
But one night, I was ready to leave the Rose. I think it was closing, and John the Cop drove me back to Saturn. Then I gave him a big smack on the lips. He goes, "A simple handshake would have done." I said, "Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, John."
Nice.
It's just a thing we do.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
You know what? Funny. That reminds me of a story, and it's a little bit. I've been reluctant to share things about my dad's condition, but I think it's okay. He's very stable now. He's less delusional. He has some, kind of some minor things that bother him about the place that he's at, where they're actually taking excellent care of him. And I'm having a good experience with the place, because I really feel that most of the people that work where he is, they care very much. But yeah, occasionally, he'll complain, say, can you get me out of here? Blah, blah, blah. But the reason I mention it was, most of the time I'm holding his hand, and I try to make him think about old memories, kind of some of the stuff we're talking about today, and some of the the great things that he's done, and and things about his childhood and about my childhood and our family and everything. And he tears up a little bit, and sometimes I tear up a little bit. And but it was really nice to hear that he just, he was very critical of other restaurants, and he just always had an opinion. And because he, as everybody I'm sure is aware, he tried to cook from the most basic ingredients, and and yeah, especially now, I mean, everybody's using so many pre-prepared things,
Oh God!
but even in Europe, a lot of, even in France, I've read that there are a lot of pre-prepared meals that are warmed up and things like this. Anyway, but what I'm getting to is he told me that he said, I went into that chicken place, which I think he means Chick-fil-A. He said, I went into that chicken place and I ordered a chicken sandwich, and the person at the counter said, "God bless you." And his reply was, "I just came in here for a frickin' chicken sandwich." So anyway, he kind of chuckled, which is good. So, oh, I wonder if I'm still on, because my screen is, oh, I'm back. It was just nice to, see a little smirk on his face, that he knew that he'd made a funny.
Right.
Anyway, but but it, obviously I know I'm not the only one, and everybody's who has aging parents. This is something that, we're all destined to go through if you have aging parents. So, but
one of those things.
Yeah. Jennifer Carotto writes that Alice's cheesecake was the best. Of course, that was my grandmother, who my dad gave a job to. She was also maybe not one of the easiest people in the world, but she was a more than a bit eccentric, but she made excellent bread and excellent cheesecake and chocolate mousse. And she was my dad really gave her a mission in her life. She led a very simple life, and anyway,
she did the bread too, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So
the Rose was famous for the bread.
Yeah. Thanks for remembering that, Jennifer. That's a great thing to think about. We are here with Parry Donze. We're talking about the legacy of the Irish Rose, and trying to tell some stories about wonderful people and things that happened. Death. I'm thinking more. I am not convinced that the new owner is going to keep the pictures of various people up above the bar, including your wonderful brother Mike.
I figured that. Sure.
Yeah, and so I just like to say that if there's anybody out there, if you know, if it's a friend or relative of yours that is above the bar at the Rose, and please feel free to reach out, and hopefully we can get you that picture of that person, or if you have any ideas of what we could do with those. I don't want to throw them away, but my suspicion is, probably the new owners would not want to keep things exactly the way things are at the Rose. So yeah, give me a shout if you would like pictures of any of those dear Rose departed. Is there anyone else that you think of when you think of some of the people that frequented the Rose and who are no longer with us? Besides, why don't you talk about your brother a little bit, Parry?
My brother?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What kind of person was he?
He was my brother. You know how brothers are. You never had a brother, but
no.
We fought like maniacs, and we
right.
Of course we got along great, like brothers. We're in bands together, and you know, he's very critical of me.
Yeah.
You know, you know, because I was kind of like the wild child. You know, you know, he would always go. For instance, this is one of my favorite stories. I would come back from a night at the Rose with a pocket full of bar napkins with T-shirt orders on them. You know, people would order T-shirts from me, and I'd come down from my loft in the morning, and I go, here Gil, here's some T-shirt orders, and he goes, oh, that's real professional, isn't it? I go, hey, it's an order. Don't worry about it.
Right.
You know? So, you know, he's funny that way, and one of my you know, one of my great stories. But you know,
right.
You know, he and I, well, we built that place up. You know, he was a master of photography.
Right.
And that's why I asked him to be my partner, because he was such a good. He was so good at photography, and silk screening. You had to operate this gigantic camera, you know, which I had no idea how to do.
Right.
To make films that we used to put on the screens to make you know, so we can shoot screens to make T-shirts.
Right.
But of course nowadays they don't do that. But back then they did, and he knew how to do it, and it was, you know, it worked.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like, we're brothers, and so we fought all the time. You know, everybody knows that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, it really had a wonderful voice, and what a wonderful thing that you two were able to play together, you know?
Yeah. His voice was his best instrument. I kept telling him that. You know, he was great at beautiful at writing songs. You know, I remember one afternoon he comes in with his guitar. I'm sitting at my art desk and working on a job. He goes, what do you think of this? And he plays it for me, and I picked up my guitar, and right away, it seemed like it happened magically. It was that song "My Town" from our album.
I remember it.
It just kind of came out of nowhere. It just happened like instantaneously, and I'll never forget that. And yeah, that was the cool thing about the situation we had. You know, it's like we could do that stuff. You know, if you're working at Amazon, you can't do that.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So.
Well, I mean, how wonderfully introspective, though, too. I mean, really, My Town is about Rockford, isn't it?
I'm sorry, what now?
I say My Town was about Rockford, I suppose. Is that right?
It actually was. Yeah, it actually was. You know, and it's ironic that he ended up back in My Town in Rockford, because, you know, he didn't want to. You know, you had to listen to the lyrics. He didn't want to die here. But, you know, he got cancer, and of course he wanted to be next to his son, so he had to do that. And, you know, if it wasn't for his son, I'm sure he would have done otherwise. But yeah. That's, you know, he felt the same. He and Diane and I would go to Madison or Milwaukee or something, and we'd bitch about Rockford. You know?
Right.
Oh God, you know, just like we were saying before.
Sure.
You know, because, you know, we expect more. We want things to be more progressive. You know, we just you know, it's like we all do. You know, but anyway, so he ended up back here.
Right.
So.
Right. Yeah, there is something that we share by being from Rockford. It almost seems like I don't know. There's almost an obsession involved sometimes, I think, or at least for me personally. You know, like, how could I be from How could I be from Rockford? How is that possible?
Yeah, I know. Well, you know, I sometimes I think I should have stuck it out, because, you know, Rockford is cool. Some of my best memories are obviously from Rockford.
Sure.
So I should have stuck it out, but I got this wanderlust, you know. You know, I've always had that, and So for all you Rockfordites out there, don't hold it against me because, it's like just the way I am.
Sure.
I gotta keep moving.
Right.
I think someday I'm gonna end up in South America if it means anything to you.
Right. Yeah. I haven't been to South America, but my wife has.
Yeah, I love it down there.
So, I don't know. You got any other kind of burning topics you'd like to speak about? Regarding the Irish Rose, or anything you'd love to share? I'm saying this to Parry and anybody else out there. We'd love to get you on the screen. I can send you the link, and the conversation could get even more interesting. Give me a shout in the comments if you'd like me to share the link with you, and I will gladly do that. What about that, Parry? I guess maybe we're in the home stretch, but if like I said, if is there anything that you would like to say or share?
Yeah, you know what? I'd like to bring up a little story about Jimmy Jolene and I. We on South Fifth Street, right next to Saturn Studio. I told Jimmy I'd like to plant some trees, and he was right on. He was right on the button. He shows up the next day. He goes over to Sanders Nursery. I didn't even know it existed somewhere on the south side.
Right.
And we picked up some trees, and he showed me where to go to the city yard where you can get chips, tree chips, so put around the trees.
Right.
If you plant them. And we planted all these trees. And then he told me, by the way, the city of Rockford doesn't allow certain trees, And I go, okay.
Oops.
I said, okay, so but we planted them anyway. And so I did this cartoon where he and I are planting these trees, and the cops are coming around the corner. And he goes, and Jimmy's going, hey, if they ask, it's a Douglas fir. So
right.
And anyway, but like the cops are going to know what a tree is anyway. But anyways, so it turned out that some crazy people in the neighborhood broke my maple trees down.
Oh.
So I know it was really sad. I guess. Okay, but Jimmy fixed me up with some new trees. I think Catawba and something else. But I asked somebody else to send me. I think it was Jay Graham, and to send me pictures, and he said he would, but he never did. But your dad did. Your dad did. He goes, Parry, here are your trees. He sent me a glorious picture.
Oh wow!
So glad, because there was nothing there before.
Right. Right.
And now on South Fifth Street, if you are you still in Rockford?
I am.
Yeah. Next time you go by there by Saturn, just take a glance there, and those are the trees that Jimmy and I have planted.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Yeah. Kind of Johnny Appleseeds.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Just for those of you, I think most of the people listening or watching the show right now are familiar with our friend Jim Jolene, who died, I think, 12 years ago now. It's still blows my mind. One of the most wonderful people to be a regular at the Irish Rose, and frequenting all kinds of businesses downtown. I know Jimmy was also a regular face at Octane and other wonderful places downtown. And I'll tell you what, Jim, over the years of my 30 plus years of living overseas, Jim was one of the only people that I absolutely had to see. Like, I would actively seek him out because he inspired me. He was just such a solid and centered person, I think. And you used to you used to call him modern in the 1980s, if I remember.
Yeah. Yeah, he used to have this like, long blonde hair.
Right.
Just regular old long blonde hair. And then one day he got it like kind of like a crew cut in the front and it let the back grow out.
Right.
The back, like a waterfall in the back.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't like a mullet or anything. But it was just, then I said, geez, Jimmy, you look so modern.
Right. Right.
So all of a sudden there was the nickname, Mr. Modern.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What a guy.
Yeah. Fabulous that he, of course, he stuck around. I think of course, a lot of people know who you are. We are just kind of dealing with the phenomenon of John Barry. If you're out there, John, I don't know if you're listening, but we actually have I've negotiated with John Barry as to which paintings he would like back, which paintings we can sell, etc. Yeah. But it's interesting because so Jimmy stuck around Rockford, and so if we could arguably say became quite famous as an artist, as well as being a wonderful person.
Yes, he did.
John is a fantastic person too, but John, of course, first went to Minneapolis, and then later he went to Washington State, and he's on an island where Oprah is and things like this. So people don't remember as much, even though his painting is just mind-blowingly good. But anyway, I'll be sharing some snapshots of some paintings that we will be looking to sell as part of our purge of possessions having to do with the Irish Rose. We wish we could keep everything, but we can't. And we could also use some money to pay some of these bills. So anyway, that's just kind of an FYI. Anybody else you think about from those days? Any wonderful people? The another person we've lost, unfortunately. I'll just tell a story. So even I guess like 25 years ago, when I worked for the public radio station here in town, I tried to reestablish my life in Rockford, but was just kind of floundering. Wasn't really finding my legs, and so I spent a little bit more time in my parents' restaurant. This is around 97, 98, and the editor and publisher of the Rock River Times, Frank Shear, was he worked for us in the 80s as a bar manager back in the old place, and then was a regular customer. And he'd come into the bar, and my mom said, "Frank, what do you have?" And Frank, the first thing Frank would say is, "Hey, Robin, you got any heroin?" And then and then he'd say, "Give me a light beer with 2 slimes." So I probably heard that about 50. I heard that about 50 times, But another character that is part of the Irish Rose heritage, I believe.
Yeah, I've got a good story about him.
Yeah.
I went canoeing with him on the Rock, a million years ago, and we got to the end of the trip, and we had the canoe on the top, and we stopped at a gas station. And of course, Frank has to crack open 2 beers, right?
Right at the gas station, driving. Right?
Yeah, and we're he's out there pumping gas, and a cop comes up to me, and I've got my open can, and he goes, "Well, actually, no, it was his can. It wasn't even mine." Mm-hmm. And the cop comes up, and he goes, "Whose can of beer is this?" And I just looked at him, and I go, "I guess it's mine." I didn't want to get in trouble because he was driving.
Right.
And so the cop, I think I had to pay like a $75 fine.
Oh, wow.
And I go, "Thanks." Frank comes back, and I go, "Thanks a lot, Frank. Thanks for the trip." $75.
Right.
You know, and I said, you know, and I know I'll never get it back.
Right. Right.
So anyway, that was a funny story about Frank. You know, what a beauty he was. I love that guy.
Yeah. A big spirit.
Yeah.
And a booming voice. Hey, I say, and a booming voice.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah.
I remember that heroin thing. He would say that every time.
Right. Hey, we got a comment from Jennifer Kuroda, and I was just wondering, Jennifer, I sent you a link, Jennifer, so that you could be on the show and tell your little story about winning a car at the Irish Rose. That sounds like a pretty fun story. If you're up for it and want to appear on this here video, we'd love to have you. And yeah, you could tell your Rose story. Are you ready? Anyway, maybe not, but you're welcome to. And I sent you the link. You just need to click through that link, and I can put you up here on the screen in an instant. You know, as long as I've got a lull here, I'd just like to say once again, thanks to everybody who was so generous in raising a very nice sum of money to help us get through tough times. We realize that a lot of people are going through tough times themselves, and but I just want to say it's really appreciated and has taken a lot of stress off of us. And I'm just going to no pressure. But just going to share the link to our GoFundMe campaign. Just, you know, by chance that you have great Rose memories and would like to express that. It's much appreciated and very sweet of everybody. Thank you so much for helping us out. So it doesn't look like Jennifer is taking me up on my so I'll just read her comment. She says, Betsy, who I believe is Betsy Youngquist, Betsy and I made a bet with John Martin and won his car. He gave us the keys and with both sat in it and couldn't figure out how it started. There was no ignition that we could find. We could see him inside laughing at us. So I guess you didn't get the car. She just told me she doesn't want to be on camera. It's okay. But anyway, thanks for considering. Anyway, all right.
Funny. Yeah.
My mom, I guess my mom has written a comment here about wondering if maybe I don't know if you want to tell it, Perry. I wasn't there, but of course we had a bowling alley at the original restaurant complex, the State and Madison complex. You know where I'm going with this, right?
You got it, man.
Yeah.
It's in my notes, actually.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Oh, my God.
So, you know, and actually at one point, getting back to the Jim Jeline aspect of life, Jim actually made a beautiful tabletop that he gave to me, from the bowling alley lanes when they tore out the bowling alley. It was a really old bowling alley. But I mean, who cares? It was the beautiful old lanes. I guess everybody was so concerned that they were so slow, right? So stupid. You would tear out a whole bowling alley because the machines were slow. You know, that's just such a it was the 20th century, but it almost sounds like a 21st century problem. But anyway, getting back to that, there was a bowling alley, and it was late at night, and I don't know what happened, and who was there, and what happened.
Well, I'll tell you what, that was in my notes too. I wanted to bring this up. It was just something I'll never forget, and I'm sure whoever was there will never forget it. We all decided to go up and bowl.
Right.
I believe that your mom fed us all You know what that is?
Right.
It's very effective.
Yeah.
material.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So, we all go up there and bowling on Parry Donze.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's great. We're all up there bowling. Nobody's paying anything.
Right.
And we're having a great time. All of a sudden, I look over and there's John Barry. He's like totally fucking naked.
Right.
He's totally nude and he's bowling.
Wow.
And I go, oh, that's an idea.
Uh-huh.
So I decided I'm going to do that too.
Right. Right.
I don't know why. I guess it's a Parry Donze thing.
Right.
And suddenly there's a whole bunch of us like totally naked.
Uh-huh.
And one of my friends, Lyle, he went down because the sweeper, the pin sweeper got stuck on the pins.
Right.
And he went down there to clear it, and then the pin sweeper trapped him naked under, and he was like trapped under the pin sweeper. It was so funny.
Yikes!
There's so many things about it, and of course all the gay waiters were watching us.
Yikes!
They're all like going, yeah, and it was like just one of those landmark nights, one of those landmark times that
right.
You'll never forget. Yeah.
Right. Nude bowling. I don't even know what the name of the bowling alley was now.
Yeah, and you know what? It's funny because like I think Mike didn't know about that until I came up the last time.
Mm-hmm.
When I came to visit my cousin who was ready to pass away from ALS, and I was up there with sitting there with Charlie Stiles, and Mike comes up and goes, "I'm going to buy you guys a beer," and he goes, so what's this about nude bowling? I just found out about this.
Right.
I said, Mike, it took you that long to find out about that?
Such rumors spread like wildfire.
Yeah, well, this is like how many years ago?
Right.
It was so safe. It was like it was in the Brinks tank, years.
My mom chimed in. She said that everybody had their own lane, and that JB took off his clothes because he said he was hot.
Yeah, he looked like like a giant baby. That's what the first thing I thought.
Right. Nice. I think we should wrap up pretty soon, but I just thought of one interesting story, and I wasn't around for much of the time, so like for the newer Rose, I was not around, but obviously it set a precedent and sort of all of these friendships, and I think that the early place was a little bit crazier, and it forged kind of friendship groups and kind of the whole atmosphere that emerged in the later Rose. Would you say that's a fair assessment?
Oh yeah, that's very well put. Yeah.
But anyway, so I just wanted to share one more outrageous thing from the 80s place that Dad was having a hard time, of course, managing my mom too, but there were so many different bars and so many different cash registers and so many different people working there, doing so many different things, whether it was people in the kitchen, bartenders, wait staff, just they called it the bar mall, and
Exactly.
There was a gentleman. I'm not going to name any names, but there was a very rotund gentleman who was working the desk at the pool hall, and we only learned later that he was also dealing drugs out of the same desk, right? So, setting people up with pool tables is not a very taxing job. So, he was making some extra big bucks by dealing something. I'm not sure what it was. Maybe could have been cocaine or marijuana. I'm not sure, but the legend has it that when he was busted and when they did they did a strip search of him, but he had such huge rolls of fat that he was able to hide his stash under one of his fat rolls. Sorry for that. I apologize.
That's beautiful.
It's a legend. I don't know if it's 100% true, but there may be some truth in it.
Actually, I do remember something about that. I didn't know the guy, but I remember hearing about it. That's incredible.
And he, at that time too, actually, it was really scary for me as a teenager because there were a lot of bar fights. And this particular gentleman, who was a very big man with a big stomach, he would team up with a guy named John. And John kind of reminded me of the blonde Duke boy from the Dukes of Hazzard. And so whenever like there would be someone who was drunk and who was making trouble, the two of them like tag teamed to like, be bouncers. And one time, just an absolutely horrible thing. So they chased someone out to the street and were, beating him up and kicking him. It was just, it was actually mortifying. It was horrible. And I hope it didn't happen too often, but it was just not the right security team. They were just like using it to just beat up on people. So.
Yikes.
Yeah. Hey, we got to chime in from another wonderful ghost of Rose past. Do you remember Diane Balcom?
If I saw the face, I would remember.
Diane, I believe, if I remember correctly, Diane used to be a waitress. Or no, she says she served as a bartender, and that it was her favorite job ever. Hi, Diane. It's great to have you chime in here. I remember that Diane and I drove somewhere on 9th Street one time. I don't know where we were going or what we were doing exactly, but it was those were good times. And I can remember when we were laughing and somebody took a picture of me or something. I don't know. That's just some sort of a vague. Diane, what I can't remember is, did you work at the first restaurant of my parents, or did you work at the Irish Rose on 519 East State Street? Anyway, you can tell me if you want or not. So, Parry, I don't know. Is there anything else you would like to say, or I think it's about a wrap.
Yeah, I think I kind of covered everything. Pretty much. I've got my nose in front of me.
Yeah.
I got nude bowling. We did that. Yeah.
Right.
Jamaican night. Yeah. I think we kind of did a good cover on the whole history of the Rose and the Rockford Deli. Yeah, what an awesome project that was, and I just got to say, I'm totally grateful for Mike and Robin for doing that, because we were kind of my brother and I were kind of like in the same boat. We were kind of like, I guess, pioneers on East State.
Right.
So we kind of related to that, and the first time we played at the Rose, the Risters, Mike came up to me and goes, "We really, really, really like your music. So we want to
nice.
Have you play all the time." And I'm going, "Oh man, that's unexpected, but thank you so much."
Right.
And that the rest is history. We just kept going.
Right.
Yeah, it was a beautiful chapter. It really was.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Great run. Yeah.
Yeah, big time.
Well, I just want to say thank you so much for your time. I love you very much, and
I love you too.
As I love many members of our Rose family, whether it be Frank Shear or Jim Jolene or your brother Jack Pine, Bruce Hammond. I don't know, who else can we think of? Is there anybody else you'd give a shout out to? Who do you think of?
Oh God, there's so many people, so many. Oh, I can't even, really, Drew, I can't even think of them all, but, like all those people, all I can say is, like, every night I went down to the Rose, I've run into the most interesting people you could ever think of. You know, and it was never a dull moment, never a boring night.
Right, so, right. Somebody mentioned JF earlier. I haven't thought of JF in a while.
Yeah, JF, yeah. Yeah, well, you know, he was in the Wristers for quite a while, and the Beat Merchants, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm not sure where I met him, but probably at the Rose.
Chrissy mentioned Susan Pierce and Matt Herbig.
Oh yeah, Matt Herbig.
Yeah,
that guy had some awesome artwork.
Right.
That's awesome.
Exactly. Yeah, there's so much inspiration from other people. Now it was like I don't know, like a fabulous game of I don't want to call it kickball, but you know, there was just always like something coming at you, you know, dodgeball, I guess, right? Just there was something interesting happening, or somebody doing something interesting, or
oh God, yeah, it's like you know, like I didn't have to go far,
right,
to meet some of the most interesting people in the whole city. I had to walk like what 2.5 blocks,
right.
You know.
Right.
You know, and the old one, you know, like 3.5 blocks, whatever. But the most interesting people in the whole town were hanging around the old Rose, or the old Rockford Deli, or the new Rose. Yeah, that's you know, that caps it up actually. That's my take on the whole thing. And I don't know, interesting people were gravitated towards that place. And,
right.
You know, and that's the way it is.
Yeah.
That's the way it was.
Yeah. My mom writes a melting pot of artists, musicians, and intellectuals.
Yeah, exactly. That's pretty much it. Yeah.
You know,
that's why I kept going down there.
Exactly. You know, I just also like to say, I love George and David. George Pack and David Taylor were fixtures, and they were just wonderful founts of knowledge and wisdom. They were like, you know, some of our intellectual regulars.
Yeah, you know, I'm glad you brought them up, because I was trying to think of their names, you know, because they were two people that I wanted to bring up, but I couldn't remember the names.
Right.
But I do remember them.
Right.
And like what they said, and they're like wonderful guys. Yeah.
Mike White, who was here with us earlier, I don't know if he's still watching, but what a wonderful thing he did when he did a little documentary about the Rose, and of course it included my grandmother, and I think the Wristers were also in that, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that was a cool thing that Mike did.
Right.
You know, showing how the restaurant worked.
Exactly.
And he gave the bands a little cameo. You know.
Right.
And it was really interesting. I still watch that dang thing.
Yeah.
It's really cool that he did that.
Right.
But who else does that, Drew?
I know.
Nobody.
Well, I think sometimes we don't realize the special times, you know, that we're living in the actual moment, right? So now it's amazing how we can look back, you know, be super sentimental and nostalgic about the people that we knew and the things that were going on. But I think they were pretty special times.
They were very special times. I couldn't emphasize that more.
Chrissy Rittenhouse also mentions, remember when Paul Gaziano did his presentation of when he went to the North Pole? I wasn't here. Paul Gaziano.
Oh, I don't know who. I'm not sure.
He was also a regular at the Rose. Maybe something. Yeah. I mean, that's it. So there is always that chance that we don't absolutely know everybody.
No, we don't know. We never claimed to.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Unless anybody out there wants to come on the show and say bye-bye, or has any Rose reminiscences they'd like to share, we're headed to the end. This is our stairway to heaven moment. Hoping for the best of the Irish Rose. Thanks everybody for being so sweet during the tough times that we've been going through. Fortunately, things have, you know, gotten progressively better. And like I've said a few times, We are hopeful and not just hopeful, but have a certain amount of certainty that the rose will be passed on to a good steward, some good hands, who will hopefully everybody will be able to come into the rose and still feel some of those great feelings that they had from times past, and hopefully forge new and wonderful memories. What do you think, Per?
Let's hope the building will attract people, like-minded people, like it did before.
Mm-hmm.
I think I feel confident it will.
Right.
Because it's just the architecturally, it's like inviting and interesting.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So
right.
Let's hope so.
Right. Right. Okay. Thanks, everybody. We've been talking to Parry Donze. Our time on Making Waves has come to an end, and thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks for those who have contributed to the GoFundMe campaign. Makes for a much less stressful time for my mom and for me and my dad. And thanks everybody for their questions and feedback. Parry Donze is just one of the spectacular individuals doing amazing things in a difficult world. Those are the kinds of people I plan to continue to interview here on Making Waves. So stay tuned. I'm Drew Leifheit, and unless you'd like to say anything, Uncle Per, we out of here.
You know what? All I can say is everyone stay well and adios, amigos. And I think that this life is a wonderful, wonderful thing, a wonderful journey.
Excellent.
So everybody keep that in mind.
Excellent. Thanks, Uncle Per, and much love to all. Sláinte, viszont látásra, as we say in Hungary. And see you next time. Love you, Per. Talk to you later.
All right. I love you too, Drew. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much, everybody. Bye-bye.